Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I have a project to share with you for Altenew using a brand new Mini Delight stamp and die bundle that's available over at the Altenew shop. I'll list it below. You can buy this on its own, or it is actually a subscription too. So I'll leave both of those links below if you guys are interested and want to check it out. Today's project is actually part of an Instagram hop. There's tons of inspiration using this little stamp set over on Instagram. I'll link that over on my blog if you guys want to head on over there. There is a giveaway to go with the Instagram hop. So lots of inspiration. I encourage you guys to check it out. Okay, I'm going to start off by taking the watermelon portion of the stamp, and I'm going to bring in some ink cubes. The set that I'm using is called Floral ink, and it has some real pretty reds in here. I'm using the coral berry to stamp my watermelon portion. This watermelon actually is in 3 different parts. You have the melon, and then you have the rind, and then you have the seeds. They're all separate, which is nice. So it's layering. Now once I have my watermelon inked up, I'm going to add a little bit of extra color with a slightly darker ink. This is ruby red, and I'm just going to basically create a happy face around my watermelon, and this way I have some darker shading along the bottom edge. I love this effect with the watermelons. You can kind of see there. Not a big difference, but the difference is there in real life. I'm going to go ahead and do the second one. Just kind of putting it on the edge of the bottom portion of my little watermelon, and we'll stamp that, and then this is good to go. Okay, also in that same floral ink set there is a green ink. I'm going to use Forest Glades, and then we're going to stamp the rind. So we'll grab that, and then we'll kind of line it up on the bottom of our watermelon here. It's like a happy face. And I'm just making sure that the tops are even there. We'll pick it up with the lid of our MISTI, and we'll grab our ink and go ahead and ink this up a few times. Watermelons are so much fun. Love watermelons during the summer. We'll go ahead. I tried to attempt to grow watermelons one time in my garden, and I haven't had very much luck with gardens. But okay, next we're going to flip over our panel and do the same thing. Now as I stamp my rind, I'm noticing that this one is way crooked, and I thought that's okay. I can turn it into a watermelon slice. But the one on the opposite end, the left and right at the very top had white showing. It didn't line up very nice. So I think I'm doing something wrong. So we're going to actually do a redo to see if we can get this better lined up. I'm going to, instead of stamping the watermelon up first, I'm going to stamp the rind first. I'm going to place this back on my cardstock, and then we'll ink up our rind using that same Forest Glades ink. Stamp it quite a few times. I want it a little bit darker. And then I'll just take my panel, and then we'll flip it around and then stamp the rind one more time. And then I will take the watermelon portion and go ahead and ink that up again with my coral berry. And this time, instead of going all the way to the bottom of the rind, I made a little bit of a gap with it. So I lifted it up, and this way it has green, white, and then red. And I think this is actually the way that you're supposed to do it because the die, I want to make sure that the die was going to die cut it out, and it works better with a white gap. So if you guys are planning on checking this out, just when you stamp, make sure there's a little bit of a white gap between it. It makes for a better watermelon. We're going to do the same thing to the other watermelon. And then I'll do the same with my ruby red ink. Add a little bit of gradient and color here. Just going around creating a happy face and stamping that. And I'm loving the way these look. Way better. Okay, a lot of times people ask me, how do I get my paper to stick to my MISTI? I actually use double-sided my tape runner to adhere it. That way I don't have to use the magnet. Sometimes the magnet gets in the way of my stamping, at least for me. Okay, watermelons are all done. I'm going to go ahead and take the dies and die cut it out. But before we do that, I wanted to stamp my seeds in here. Now, I noticed that the seeds it's a trio of seeds in the stamp set, and it's just one stamp. Okay, so when you pick it up, your seeds are already together. Now, I was looking at the front of the package and I thought, well, how do they do that? Because the front of the package showed the seeds in that happy face kind of a shape along the bottom of the rind. And I was wondering if they took their scissors and trimmed one away or just inked up two. See, when you stamp it, that's what your seeds look like. But it's not what it looks like in the package. So I was like, how did they do that? I'm thinking what they did was use their scissors and trimmed one away and then stamped it in a pattern. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stamp it the way it is on my block here. We'll add seeds to all of our watermelon. I'll show you the package to show you what I mean with that pattern. You can see here that it's kind of a happy face shaped. But no worries, I like the way this looks, so we're going to go with it. Now I'm just going to take the coordinating die and die cut out my watermelons. I'm only going to use 2 of them. I'm not going to use the ones that you can't see the white. I thought about maybe trimming it to make a slice. We'll see how that goes. Okay, now I'm bringing in my craft mat. We are going to do a little bit of an inky background. Love doing this. I'm going to use my watercolor brush markers from Altenew. I have the Winter Wonderland set. I use them often because they're bright and vivid colors. I'm actually going to use 4 of them. We're going to start off by adding a little bit of the red one. It's called Ruby Red. And then next we're going to add a little bit of a lighter rouge color. That's the name of it. And then on the bottom, I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap. I'm going to add a dark green, which is called Emerald, and then I'm going to add a lighter green called Mountain Mist. Now after we have the ink down, I'm going to go ahead and use my spray bottle and add lots of water. We're going to dilute it. And you can see even after I add lots of water, the colors are still pretty bright. When the panel does dry, it does pull back. It's not going to be that bold. You'll see here, I'm going to use my heat gun to go ahead and dry my panel so we can continue. But aren't they bright colors? I mean, even when they pull back, they're pretty bright, but I thought it turned out really neat. So there's my watercolory background. I love those colors. And then I'm going to remove my mat. Now next, I'm going to go ahead and trim down my paper. I think it's just a little bit too big for it's going to be my main focal point. So I'm going to trim it down to 2.5 inches by 3 3/4. So 2.5 inches wide by 3 3/4 inches long. Now after I have this trimmed, we're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment. There is the sentiment that's in the stamp set that says "You're one in a melon." So cute. We're going to stamp it at the bottom of the panel, more towards the white area. I'm just going to use my black ink. This is actually jet black ink. It's in that same Floral ink cube set. For this, the Your One In is very tiny, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Misty to ensure that I get perfect stamping for this. I'll just pick it up with the lid of my Misty and get up with my black ink, and then we are good to go. I'm kind of offsetting it a little bit to the right too. My watermelons I want to the left, but we'll ink it up a couple times here. Okay, our panel I think looks fabulous. And then we are going to take our little watermelon pieces. I'm going to go ahead and overlap them together. I'm going to add a little bit of foam adhesive behind them. And then once they're positioned the way I want them, I can keep them together and then add foam tape. This way it's just, we're making it one piece, and I know I like the way they look. And I'll have to fuss with them when they're separated. Now I have some very thin gauge gold wire. I'm actually running out of it. I think I picked this up from the craft store, and I love this stuff. I don't know what size gauge it is, but it's beading wire. I think if you guys check out your favorite craft store, I know that they might have it. I'm just gonna grab a little cluster of it and put it on that foam adhesive behind my watermelons. You can see here, kind of evenly looping it around, and then we'll just take this and directly adhere it to our panel, just above our sentiment there. Okay, now I loved the way the gold looks with the red and green, and I think we're going to bring in a little bit more gold. So I have some gold cardstock. I'm going to add adhesive behind my panel. We're going to add some gold behind it. And it's just going to have a little bit peeking out along the edge. We have the right side and the top we need to trim down. But it really, when you do this, when you're matting it on that gold, it just brings out that gold wire. It's so pretty. I did pop up my panel with foam adhesive. It helped flatten it because it did warp a little bit. But I'm going to center it in my card base here, which is a standard A2 size card base. And then last but not least, I'm going to add some gems. These are smaller gems. I'm just going to add a couple above the watermelon and a couple above the sentiment there. And then that is my project today, guys, using the Altenew Mini Delight set called One in a Melon. Again, there is an Instagram hop with lots of inspiration with this fun little stamp set. Encourage you guys to join in the fun. There's a giveaway to go with it. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.